do my show. Uh, I'm Stephen Colson. I'm your first point of contact. If you have any questions, concerns, suggestions, which we encourage, any ideas, this is a brand new program after all. Then we've also got Nicole. I'll go ahead and let her introduce herself.
Hey everyone, I'm Nicole. I'm the statewide engagement and events coordinator for Washington Trails Association. So I'm kind of like going to be behind the scenes and also continuing to kind of promote this work and this project and recruit volunteers. You can also send your questions to me. I'll be in communication with Stephen.
Sweet, thank you. And then we'll also have Alyssa and Keithley. They will both also be working behind the scenes. You might not notice them per se or see them working exactly, but that just means they're doing a stellar job because all of the behind the scenes work is being done smoothly. If you two want to say hi, you're welcome to. It looks like they just left, actually. And then the final person that you're probably going to want to know the name of is Oak. He is like the executive coordinator or the executive director of like the whole of GPI along with like the whole program. Yeah, and Alyssa, I just introduced you and Keithley as the behind the scenes gurus who make everything flow smoothly. They may not see your work, but that again means you're just doing a great job. And that moves us on to why we're here in the first place. So I'm sure you are all like familiar with this sort of setup and whatnot, but with the Mountain Loop Highway, with recent years, the pandemic, people have been ushered into their homes and people just want to get out. People have been moving into Washington. The numbers on the trail have been increasing. And that kind of means that people on the trail aren't as educated or informed as they used to be. It's a much more wide thing. And so we're going to be out there trying to make sure our treasured trails stay healthy, maintained, and protected, and then also that these hikers are safe and that they are making good, smart decisions for themselves and for the trails. That brings us to what we're talking about with them. First of all, one of the most important things we're talking to them about is the leave no trace practices. We want people to know to go into the trail, enjoy the nature, soak it in, and immerse themselves, but also be sure not to leave more than anything. Don't leave anything. I really like a quote from the Trail Crew of Oregon videos that I sent you all. Take only photos and leave only footprints. I really like that quote because it really explains it pretty well. People can walk in, enjoy the nature, observe, capture pictures, and memorize them, remember the moment. Don't leave garbage, leave your footprints. That's it. Observe the wildlife. Don't like interact with them. Just go ahead and watch, take pictures. Let people know that they are observers and they have this wonderful opportunity to go into these trails, and it's truly a privilege. They should take care of them as the value of the trails is important. Let people know that they should be aware of like how hiking at certain points or in certain weather conditions, such as like muddy, if they take their horse on the trail or a bike or anything of the sort, they can deteriorate the trail just because the condition and like the nature of the trail is much more sensitive when it's muddy. Don't shove all of this information at them at once though. We're there to be a welcome face and let people know that we're out there just trying to help them out. That brings us to the next thing we're trying to tell people, and it's that we need to let people know how to be safe on these trails, make educated decisions, know what's out there, and know how to be prepared for it. One of the most important messages I think that we could get out there is people know before you go. It's know the weather, know the conditions that are coming, know how the trail is, know how far the trail is. Just make sure encourage people to understand what is going on with the trail and how the trail will work, and then how to be prepared for it. So if it's going to be snowy, Make sure people know that it's going to be snowy. If it's going to be rainy, let people know it's going to be rainy. If there's a log that goes to 3 of the trails, if that log is like washed away, we could let people know. I'll share that information if I figure it out, if I learn that the log is washed away. It's also important as the ambassadors to be aware of like the nearby trails or the different trails that people can take. I'll send you all a cheat sheet for that here by the end of the day tomorrow. And it's just good for people if they say that they don't feel prepared for this long hike. You can be like, oh, well, we've got this alternative one. It's a lot nicer and it's a lot easier. At the same time, don't assume though if people are incapable of a hike based on what they're wearing, what their appearance is. If somebody's wearing shorts and it's rainy, let them hike if they are like adamant about it, or just go for it. Don't ever be like, hey, I see you're wearing shorts. Let's go on this hike instead. That's kind of just, that might be imposing on them. We'll have a bag with like the 10 essentials of hiking people will be able to view. So we can educate them that way. Let people know that they need to bring water, extra food, rain gear, all that jazz. If somebody does not have a map, like for an example of what you can do, if somebody doesn't have a map, let them know where they can find them. Don't tell them they shouldn't hike. It's again, we're not trying to make sure that we're not trying to make sure people don't hike. We're trying to make sure people are prepared. And if they are not prepared, then that's not our business per se. And that brings us to who we represent out here. We're going to be representing, I'm sure you are all familiar with at least some of these groups, but we've got GPI, the Glacier Peak Institute. They take action to like empower youth and build robust communities and maintain ecosystems by taking like a STEM approach, but also adding arts and recreation. It's a fascinating program that I'm honored to be a member of. And then there's going to be the WTA, the Washington Trail Association. They mobilize and motivate hikers and those who love outdoors to explore their world. We're all representing the WTA as the ambassadors, and I'm sure we all know what the WTA is. There's the National Forest Foundation. They aim to bring people together and restore and improve our forests and grasslands. And then of course there's the USFS, the United States Forest Service. They work to maintain our forests and grasslands. There'll be a cheat sheet with all of these organizations on it. It'll be on the table. It'll be ready for us to just show the hikers. They can view it if they would so desire. This brings us to how a day of volunteering will look. This is pretty important. We're gonna aim to get into the at the Barlow Pass trailhead. We're gonna aim to get there between 8:30 and 9 a.m. so that we can set up and be ready by 9. And then we'll sit down educating the hikers which come through. It'd be really nice if we could observe the hikers and know how interested they are in the program. Because if people are coming by and then they're really interested in this program, that'll be really good for future funding and like learning about the program. If people are not interested, that would be really good to know, because then we could figure out why not and then adjust as needed. Just take mental notes, share with me what you determine, figure out how you feel. And yeah. If people seem interested, don't be afraid to let them know that we are accepting more volunteers. But again, this particular point, don't go out of your way to get people in here. We're just trying to educate people. We're not trying to recruit. But if people are like, if somebody is really interested, they're lingering around the table, they're curious, and they keep asking questions, go and say, hey, we're looking for more volunteers. If you want to join this, you can learn all of this stuff as well as spread the knowledge. And at the end of the day, after we interact with all these people, take our notes, all of that, I'll take the materials back to GPI, and then we all get to go home until the next time you volunteer, which could be the next day, could be the next week, could be the next month. To be prepared for that day of volunteering, it's just important to know that we're going to be out in the elements for like 5 hours. So have the appropriate clothes for the weather. If it's going to be 90 degrees, don't bring a sweater and long pants, obviously. If it's going to be rainy, maybe don't wear shorts and a tank top. Really, I think we all know how weather works. Bring spare rain gear in your car just in case, because you never know. Maybe the sunny day will turn into a rainy, cold, unpleasant time. We'll have a spot device radio or a radio for emergencies. And once we figure out which one we're going to have, we'll have an orientation so that we all know how to use that. There will be a first aid kit as well for us. It'll be for the ambassadors and the volunteers, because, you know, the nearest emergency services is going to be in Arlington. So it's important to be able to help out. With that, it's important to know that we're not obligated to care for somebody. And the first aid kit, again, is there for the volunteers, but if someone is hurt and you know you can help, use your best judgment. You have the tools, but you're not obligated. What are we looking for going forward? So going forward, this next weekend, I will be at the trailhead on my own. But every weekend after that, I will have a sign-up sheet ready for people to set their names on a weekend, and then you'll be volunteering there that weekend, and that's pretty much that. If you for some reason sign up and then like last minute you can't go, just go ahead and let me know. I'll figure that out. I'll sort out all of the issues that may come or anything like that, and no pressure at all. I will also send paperwork to you all because you will be volunteering for GPI and WTA and WSU. So there's paperwork involved with that. I'll update you as plans and developments change. And this is kind of like a brand new program. So we're going to have to learn as we move. There's going to be a lot of moving parts, a lot of things that are a mystery until we encounter them. So I appreciate any flexibility. And on that note, if you see anything, have a recommendation, have a question, criticism, anything, we encourage you to speak up and share. I concede and admit that that's a lot of information and not a lot of time. Does anybody have any questions or concerns?